Welcome back to Grassroots Media. Welcome back to this week's edition of the Terry Hoese Show, where we cover everything on the hardwood with the South Greene Rebel basketball team. As always, I'm joined here with head coach Terry Hoese. Coach, how are we doing this evening?
Really good.
Back again. How was your Thanksgiving break? I got to ask that first.
Ate way too much food.
I think we all did, but I think you have to on Thanksgiving.
Absolutely. We ran all over the place, so I guess you got to get enough food to keep you going.
Because you were both at the Hardy's Classic. I know your daughter was playing too on the days that you weren't playing, so you were probably up at Crockett every day from Monday to Saturday except Thursday.
Yes, that is correct.
And I know that last week I think I'd called it your home away from home last year because you played almost as many games at Crockett as you did home games last year. And it was kind of the same this year where the girls move over to the Hardy's Classic and your daughter plays. So, yeah, you're pretty familiar with that gymnasium, I would say.
We've had some success at that gymnasium.
You have.
It'd be nice to play a lot there.
And it seems like you did because in front of us we've got a plaque. First place in the 34th Annual Hardy's Classic. Beat Crockett. Beat a few other great teams too. We'll get to that in just a second. But before we talk about it, I want to go back to the beginning of the season. Because when we spoke 2 weeks ago, it was right at the beginning, the day before you tipped off against Cosby in your Hall of Champions. Then you had another Hall of Champions that same weekend against Tennessee High and Sullivan East. Take me through those three games and how you fared.
Cosby game, we beat Cosby here at home on the Thursday night and played okay. We were without our center at that point. T.J. Buckner was still out with his hand broken. Still without Lucas Couch at that point, out with a tear in his meniscus. So we went into that first game with very bare minimum on the bench, and but played okay. As the first game of the season is about as expected. Moved on to Saturday, went to Tennessee High. Beat Tennessee High, I think 21, 22 points, somewhere in that vicinity. Played really well. Left Tennessee High, got on the bus, went straight over to Sullivan East, played a really good Sullivan East team, and no excuses. We were out of gas. And Tennessee High wound up beating us 8 or 10, something like that. So overall, was very pleased with their Hall of Champions start. We went 2-1. And there's been years that I've started the season out 0-2 or 0-3, depending upon the situation. So we got a good start. We played some good teams, and as always, that's why I tell my kids I can go schedule bunnies, but it's not what we do. So went out and scheduled 3 really good quality teams for Hall of Champions games, and when you do that. You're almost asking to lose at least one of those on that Saturday. It's really hard to go play 2 good teams back-to-back and win both of those. But even in the Sullivan East game, I felt like we competed. So was very happy with our start.
Let's talk about this beautiful plaque right here also. Playing quality teams, you did that in the Hardy's Classic. I can't remember who you started with, but then in the semifinals, you had to get past North Greene, and then in the championship, you had to get past Crockett. And a lot of times you understand Crockett's a good team, but it's tougher to beat them in their home gym, and they were hosting the tournament too. Talk about the Hardy's Classic. Talk about how you enjoyed the experience this year and how you were able to come out on top and take home this first place plaque.
First of all, they do a really good job. It's a really good tournament, and I'm honored that we've been asked back. This is our 4th time. And out of those 4 years, we've made it to the finals 3 of those 4. And won it. This makes the 2nd time we've won this tournament. So I've taken some good teams up there, and we've played good teams. Started out against Providence Academy, coached by George Pitts, a legend, and knew they were going to have a quality team, and they did. They had a kid get 32 on us, and another kid get 11, but we played well, and I think we wound up winning that game somewhere around 20. Come back, played North Greene on Friday in the semis. And everybody knows North Greene can play. Of course, Jason Britton is the face of that program, but they've got a lot of the quality players too. Carico kid, the English kid, David McLean's son plays. They're not just 1 or 2 kids. So we knew that going into that semifinal game, it'd be tough. And we jumped out on North Greene and got up around 20 on them. I think we wound up winning that game by 12. But felt like that was a solid performance. That was also the first night T.J. Buckner was back with us. And T.J. lit the crowd up a couple of times with a couple of monster dunks and kind of got himself going too. So kind of completed our team a little bit, but even at that, he'd only practiced one day. So coming off one day of practice and one game, going into Crockett, knowing it's their home court and they're good, wouldn't shock me one bit to see Crockett win that 3A district up there. I don't know what happened. I said our kids had an out-of-body experience. We come out and jumped on them. I think we went on a 30-1 run at one point and held them to 5 points in the first quarter, and at that point it was pretty much over. They're good, and I know that we have to play them 2 more times, and I don't know that that'll be the same outcome. So their coach got me after the game. He said, "Did you miss a shot?" And I said, "I seriously think we could have kicked it in." So it's nice to have those every now and then, and when you get those, normally good things happen.
I heard from another coach that you shot somewhere crazy around like 75%.
72.
72. From what you can remember, how many times have you had a South Greene team shoot over 70 in a game?
I've had years where I could take 3 games and we wouldn't have shot 72% combined. That doesn't happen, and that's why I said, I'm not stupid. We know that'll be tough. Now I will say this: if we could replicate that a couple of times, we could beat some people.
Yeah.
But you're normally not going to do that. If you could shoot 35-40% from the floor for the game, generally speaking, that's a fairly decent game.
And then end up shooting almost 75%. You're almost guaranteed to win any game that you shoot that high, unless the opposing team somehow has just as crazy of a game too. Yeah. But we talked about the front part of your schedule being difficult. You had Cosby come in here opening night to your home gym. You traveled to play Tennessee High and then got on the bus, went directly over to Sullivan East. You competed in the Hardee's Classic where you get those quality teams too. You get another quality opponent this upcoming Friday night that we'll talk about in the later half too. Talk about the early part of your schedule and how much you think that'll benefit you going forward too.
That's the reason we do it. I know everybody wants to win games, and your kids want to win games. I want to win games. But in the grander scheme of things, we always preach to our kids that what we're doing right now is really not what we're looking to do. You want to play these games to get ready for district tournament, regional tournament, and hopefully at some point maybe advance on to that sub-state. And for South Greene history, never been a boys team at South Greene ever make it to a state tournament. So ultimately, that is the goal. We know that that's going to be very difficult with our region. Even out of our district, I said we could finish anywhere from 1 to 3 right now, and that's my honest opinion. And once you get past that, you got Austin East, Alcoa, and Gatlinburg Pittman to look forward to get through that region. So it's not going to be easy. So that's the way I kind of look at it. Why would you go schedule somebody that you can beat by 60 or 70 and get nothing out of it when you can play quality teams and hopefully get better every day?
And if you look at the schedule, I think 3 of your first 6 games so far have been teams in a classification above you.
Yes.
And then one of those teams being a private school too, which I guess in some cases you can put in that same category because with private schools you kind of have different ways of going about things. So it's a tough front end of the schedule. You kind of go into district play coming up this week after you get a game with Dobyns-Bennett. We'll go ahead and cover those in just a second also. But we need to get a break in first, so we'll be right back to talk about that in just a minute here on Grassroots Media.
Pizza, pancakes, or donuts, the Davy Crockett Travel Center in Baileyton has the cure for all your cravings. While you're there, shop our general store for souvenirs, gifts, and cellular accessories. In a hurry, grab a cold drink and a hot dog to go. Check us out on Facebook and come to Baileyton.
Pizza Inn's new Right Way Buffet is open and ready for you and your family. Now with new garlic buttery crust and stuffed crust pizza, along with salads and desserts. It's the best part of your day. The all-day, everyday buffet. Only at Pizza Inn Greenville.
Welcome back to Grassroots Media. Welcome back to this week's edition of the Terry Hoese Show, where we cover everything on the court with the South Greene Rebel basketball team. As always, I'm joined here with Rebels head coach Terry Hoese. So we talked about the tough part of your schedule at the beginning. Doesn't really get any easier going forward now because you've got a tough road game and then you've got 3 home games back to back to back against quality opponents. Let's talk about the road game though. Friday night in Kingsport at Dobyns-Bennett, one of the better teams throughout Northeast Tennessee year in, year out. Great coaching staff up there, great athletes. Talk about what you expect playing Dobyns-Bennett.
Coach Poore called me and asked me if we'd be interested in playing, and my comment to him was, I'm not sure that we can compete with you, and I don't know that we can compete with Dobyns-Bennett, but we scrimmaged them this summer, and we did okay. They still beat us, but if we can go up there Friday night and compete, be in the game with an opportunity at some point, I'll be tickled to death whatever the outcome is. But they are good. I mean, they've got 2,500 kids in their building. Coach Porter does a super good job with them, and I know they'll be ready. We will be ready. I'll have my kids ready to go, and I don't think they'll be intimidated, especially after the way we approach Crockett. So it'll come down to who can execute, and it ought to be a pretty good game.
I've been fortunate enough to see Dobbins Bennett play once this year too. I think this, in my opinion, will be one of the better matchups for you early in the season because they have something to compare to you that most teams don't, and that's size. Yeah. They've got a lot of size too to compare with you guys too. Do you expect that to help you also playing somebody with the same players at the same height as you guys that have a little more girth to them?
Yeah, it'll make us do some different stuff.
Yeah.
TJ and Caden and Jace, these guys not just going to be able to go in and do what they've been able to do here the last couple of weeks. So it'll be good for them. Most of my kids play travel ball throughout the summer, and they see kids like this anyway. So I don't think that'll be a huge deal for them. But I do think that it'll make them better in the long run. That's what I told my kids. I don't care at this point, wins, losses. It's about getting better right now, and we want to play people that are going to challenge. And if we can go and beat Dobbins Bennett, everybody's going to open their eyes. If we go up there Friday night and Dobbins Bennett beats us, then it's kind of one of those deals. It's kind of a no-win situation for Dobbins Bennett. If we were to go beat them, everybody's going to be like, hey, what in the world are you doing letting South Greene beat you? But if they beat us, they're expected to beat us. So there won't be any pressure on the kids. Be a good test for us early in the season, see where we're at.
Hey, my favorite quote, I mentioned it with Sean a few times this year. The best kind of game is going in when you have no pressure.
Absolutely.
The most dangerous team to play is the team that has their backs against the wall.
It's true.
You got the fun game Saturday, though. You got North Greene. It's been a battle the last few years. Off the top of my head right now, 3 out of the last 4 games that you've played in the regular season, I can pick something out of that game that happened that a lot of people remember. You have the free throws in the final second that win the game. You have Jason Britton becoming the all-time leading scorer for North Greene. You have the game winner last year at North Greene also. You have them at home the first game this year also. We've talked about Britton multiple times before. You know what they're going to bring to the table. Talk about what you expect out of the Huskies.
They're going to play hard. That's the hard part. If Coach Tarleton gets them going, they're ready to go. And, it's never easy to play them. They do a lot of the same stuff that we do. They try to open the court up and get to the bucket. They've got really good shooters. And then, of course, you've got the factor. Britton may go off for 50 on me in here Saturday, so you just never know. I felt like we did a really good job on him in the Hardy's Classic, and look up, and he still had 28. Mm-hmm. So he's going to get his. We've just got to do a really good job of limiting them to one shot and try to make sure that nobody else hurts us. But I know they're going to come ready to play. Coach Tarleton's going to look at that game film from last week, and they're going to make some adjustments, and we're going to have to do the same thing. But it ought to be a good one in here on Saturday.
Side note, did you play them in the Hardy's Classic last year too?
We did.
Thought
yes.
So you played them 6 times in the last 2 years.
Last year, Britton had a shot at the end of the game to beat me at the Hardy's Classic, and it rimmed out on him. So, yeah, it's we've had a lot of close battles here.
At the end of this regular season, you'll have played them 6 times in the last 2 years. It's not often you can say that unless they're in conference.
Yeah, they're not in our conference, so it's crazy.
It's weird how that lines up like that. But speaking of conference, you get your first conference game next Tuesday night. Play Johnson County. We've spoke about it before. They're kind of always that wild card in the conference. They've got to come down 2 hours to play you all. You all have got to go up there 2 hours to play. It's a tiring road trip. It's always tough to go up there and win. It's always tough to come down here and win too. Talk about what you expect Tuesday night in your first district game.
It's going to be tough. We talked just a few minutes ago on the break. They about knocked me out of the tournament last year. The game went to overtime after we had beaten them pretty good twice. And you just never know. Coach Atwood does a really good job. They'll play hard. He demands it. And they've got a couple of kids that can flat out shoot it. So coming in here Tuesday night, we'll have to play our best. And that's the nice thing about it. There's not any games for us where we're going to be able to just walk in and play mediocre and beat people. So we've got to come ready to play every night. And it won't be any different on Tuesday night. Coach Atwood will have them ready to go. And it's always fun to coach against him. He's intense, and when you come out, if you beat him, you've accomplished something.
He's one of my favorite coaches to watch because he's very strategic.
He is.
Doesn't matter how much he's down, he will hold the ball for a minute and 30 if he has to score and get a bucket. He has low-scoring games. They held Chucky Doak to, I think, 40-something in their home gym last year.
Yep.
It's fun to watch him coach, and it's fun to watch that team play. Won't talk about the next district game you have just yet because I like to block it Wednesday to Wednesday in these shows. But Hampton, we've talked about them before. Yep. Coming up into the 2A conference now. A very familiar opponent who's you scheduled a home and away with many years in a row now. You'll have them. Won't talk about them just yet, but everybody knows how fun of a game that's going to be.
It will be.
So you got 3 home games back to back to back after the game against Dobbins Bennett this upcoming Friday night. Until next time, though, Coach, that's all I've got for you.
Appreciate it, Tyler.
Thank you once again. It's awesome to have this plaque in front of me, too. Congratulations to the Rebels for winning the 34th Annual Hardee's Classic. Thank you all for watching this week's edition of the Terry Hoese Show. Look forward to seeing you all next time here on Grassroots Media.